Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands, and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we're going to be checking out a track from an act named TGYE, or Thank God You Exist, titled Self-Destruction. And if we switch over to here, this track is off of the EP titled Melochromatic, which was released in August 16th, 2022. So we're going to listen through this track today, from start to finish. We're going to hear what we think. Let's go. Oh, great use with the organs and the twisty oscillation going on there.
But I want him to.
Okay, alright, wow! Woo! Okay. Dude, it just came out of nowhere. Like, I don't usually react like that, but man, it was crazy. The dynamic range there. Just the vocals and how wide it got in the mix as well. The stereo field is just full of stuff, man. Great work with the synths and the 808s. There's like 5 or 6 layers here, man. It's so seamless.
When it's light, I can see you every day. Hit me up, don't hesitate. You keep me up, you give me love.
Don't hesitate, you keep me up, you give me love. Dude, this is an absolute banger, man. I would legitimately, genuinely listen to this outside of reviews.
You run my brain, but I don't know. Is that insane? You run me up to elevate. When I'm with you, I levitate. So I'm 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Self-destruction.
Great vocal range, or variety, coming in here with this chorus and verse section. When you have a similar theme, musically from the verse to the chorus, you need to do something different with the vocals, and I'm glad we're doing that here.
4, 3, 2, 1. Self-destruction.
This is so much cool stuff happening with the accompaniment though at the same time. These low da 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 and then the boom boom boom, and there's interesting rhythms with these, like they're taking turns being present with the vocals. It's so engaging, so effortlessly engaging.
4, 3, 2, 1. Self-destruction.
And dynamic range, man. Just a swoosh. And going back to those reverberated sort of backwards organ parts in here with some strings. It's really smart. Again, it's just different. This is unexpected. It's unpredictable. I'm kind of liking this. We've already got a lot of context for the song already. So we don't necessarily need to shove more plot down the listener's throat. We can just have like a vocoded sort of pseudo-instrumental part. Hey, great transition here.
I wish you well, I wish for you to come and help. Girl, just come with me. We get out of there. Ain't nobody else that's as fine as you. Say you feeling bad. She like how I move. When your guard is up, I get through to you. When I feel your touch, I get comfortable. So I'm 5, 4, 3, 2.
I mean, it's easy to understand what this track's about. It's interesting that we're talking about this other person, but then we're going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 self-destruction. So is it insinuating that maybe this person is not who we want, and maybe we're self-destructing by trying to get that person back into our lives? That's an interesting angle to take. I'm having a good day today. Yeah, I think this is someone who is genuinely not taking the listener for granted, and they're transcendent with this. As I understand it, I think this TGYE is like their favorite track off the EP, if I'm not mistaken. It's probably mine at this point, although I'd love the opportunity. I legitimately will probably listen through this in my own time. I just love the fact that there are so many possibilities and opportunities for musicians and producers, especially with music and genres like these nowadays. You get access to all these fun toys, and there's so many ways to do stuff with your vocals and accompaniment and stuff like that in music production. I'm so glad that people are taking full advantage of that to create their own stuff that's sort of, unique to them. I adore it. Thank you to people who take their music and their passion seriously. I just love the variety and change in here, man. I'm excited for what's going to happen next. See? What's this? What is this? I like the fact as well, we've got rah rah, and then we've got the contrast, the call and response there going on. Because of all this change and this fun stuff, it doesn't become boring even if you've got a similar kind of chord progression or bass line throughout. It's been 4 minutes and I wanted to go for 4 hours. Like, I mean, that's heavy vocal modulation there, that meta tune there. That when we're not, this isn't, let's put a little bit in there and see if we can get away with it. That is using it as like an instrument. And I love that. I love it when people just commit to that. Just commit to the bit, man. Just let your voice sound like that. Have fun with it. It makes me really happy when people just go full bore at stuff and they make it musical because of that. There's too much competition to be timid about it. Too much competition, man. TGYE ain't taking that for granted with melochromatic and self-destruction. And furthermore, I don't typically enjoy fade-outs because I feel like, we're just repeating the riff until we end. But because we've had so much cool stuff in here, I don't mind it. It's almost like you're being left with the remnants of it before you go on with your day. I'm also wondering if that's a way of coming on to Made It, which is the 5th track. It's fine. You know what? I had a good time. Because this is the conclusion of my review of Self-Destruction by TGYE, or Thank God You Exist. This is getting a positive review, in case you weren't already aware. I've already spoken about a lot of the reasons for this, so I will try to keep this conclusion section reasonably short. I think that this track is about someone who is with someone, either maybe even codependent on them. They are reliant on them for like their happiness or satisfaction, and or because I say it like they levitate when they're with them. They feel incredible, but I think there's also an understanding and a realization that maybe this person is not good for them, and maybe even though they feel fantastic about having that person in their lives, maybe that'll destroy them. And I think that that's a really interesting thing to write a song about. I think that a lot of people are going to be able to relate to that, and I think that it's not something that has been run into the ground as a theme, as a story. So I think that it will be fresh for people. The vocal performance here, I liked the kind of the way that we sung, rapped, spoke it. I'm not sure. It was just gorgeous. It was so pretty with those melodies in there. And even if there was a lot of stuff caked into there on the effects chain, I don't personally mind. It was so fresh sounding, and it glistened, and the portamento legato parts as well, how we're going between those notes, even when we weren't necessarily singing or saying stuff and we're just going we're kind of doing that kind of stuff. It's just dope. It's cool because it works as kind of like a vocal synth or something like that. You know what I mean? You can use your voice for things that's not words, and I'm so happy that we're just doing our own thing, and I dig it. I'm not gonna like pretend that there haven't been any other musicians in the history of music who haven't done similar stuff to this, but I haven't heard a lot of stuff like this during my time as a music reviewer, and I adore it. I really adore it, man. I think that the way it was delivered, the performance of it, was authentic and it made sense with the story. Like the way it was kind of like somber and kind of like almost like we were crying out in some of those sections later on, kind of struggling with that. The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 part sounded like just a sort of a countdown to self-destruction. And it was like it was impending. It there was an acceptance of it, but then later on it became frustration. And that depth that was illustrated by TGYE here was well accepted by me personally. I need the vocal performance to connect to the story in order for it to make sense. So we accomplished that here well. I think that TGYE also, the structure of this track was fantastic. It wasn't predictable. We had verses and choruses, but then we also had just going back to the main intro theme, and then we had like a vocal instrumental part. And then we rolled around that. We had 4 or 5 different distinct parts, and that was despite a lack of multiple different themes. We just had that. So I think we had like an E flat major in there, G flat major, and then we had like a B major, and then we had a B flat major, and that's a really wild, crazy harmony there. It's sort of chromatic. It's semitonal chromatic, and I could have been wrong with those chords. No, I think I got those chords right. But even so, like, just there's some. I think what made it eternally interesting was because you didn't have those chords within the same key. When you have a song with chords not in the same key, the listener's attention is piqued because it's like, oh wait, that doesn't sound like it should go with that. And then it creates a little bit of tension in there. But then if you can resolve it and loop it, it doesn't lose its radiance, providing that there is range and difference with the vocals, providing that you take away and add some instruments occasionally. You can't really get away, in my opinion, with a musical theme if you're stuck within chords of the same key signature for 4 minutes without any parallel majors or minors. You can't really do that. It just gets a bit too tricky, But again, we didn't have any issues with this. TGYE nailed it. Great choice in the harmony. And like we had arpeggios going on there, and interesting. It wasn't just like the arpeggios and the note choice there and how it harmonized with the vocals. It was also the stuff going on with like the way that the instruments sounded, like the inverted kind of organ parts and stuff like that, and the flickering and the synths as well that kind of fluttered and sparkled around the place. And it just was kind of like the best kind of fever dream you can have, if that makes sense. Obviously the bass was just bodacious, man. It was just boom, and the drums were sidechaining really well. Lots of love for it, man. We had contrasts in there dynamically and texturally, and everything was stacked phenomenally. And again, just having the vocals on either side of the stereo field there to sort of be the icing on the cake, and especially in the slow parts, is a smart move. The production, recording, mixing, and mastering was splendid. I really enjoyed the quality of the vocal recording itself. I think that it was stellar. The instruments as well, the sampler, whether they were sampled or there was some stuff that was recorded and put in there. Either way, it was a professional grade, it was a commercial level of production here. The EQing of the various instruments in the mix was spotless. The stacking of stuff in the frequency spectrum and in the placement in the stereo field was absolutely phenomenal, especially with how it came in, and it just goes whoosh, great transition there. It impressed me a lot. And the limiting compression is absolutely on point, nice and loud without too much any pumping in that field, and also there was dynamic range, so nothing was being smothered. And that is effectively my review of this track from TGYE, or Thank God You Exist, titled Self-Destruction, off of their EP Mellow Chromatic. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show TGYE some love via their various social medias and their Spotify page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I will catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.